What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLorean here. Welcome to a brand new video and welcome to my breakdown for the trailer for The Walking Dead Season 11 Episode 3, aka Hunted. Now, telling by the trailer, this episode does look to have three major plot points or things going on in the episode. Now, these three major things happen to be the battle between the Reapers, which does take place right after the events of Episode 2 when a group gets ambushed on the road by the Reapers, which was an absolutely insane cliffhanger to leave us on in Episode 2 and everything, and was really terrifying and cool, especially when they just start walking down the highway and everything, very menacing. The next plot point seems to be Maggie and Negan kind of working together to help the wounded people and everything get to, I think, Meridian, which is like, where they're trying to get to and everything, Maggie's old place, to get supplies for Alexandria and everything, since that's where a majority of her people are taking asylum. Although I do think their plans do take change, because obviously they're being slowly hunted by the Reapers and everything. There's probably a lot of wounded people from the original fight and everything that will take place in the beginning of the episode after the events of Episode 2 and everything. Any last and final point or anything will most likely take place with, like, people like Carol, Magna, Kelly, Rosita, and some of the people in Alexandria, such as Aaron, trying to find some horses and just trying to get food, because obviously Alexandria is currently starving. They do show in this, like, episode, like, trailer, that Alexandria is slowly falling apart and everything, that the walls not being able to hold walkers down or anything, because in this episode I think there is going to be an invasion of Alexandria from walkers, and how the walls are falling and everything, how they don't have a lot of food and they're practically starving, which is going to be a huge plot point in this episode. But without further ado, let's get right into breaking down the trailer and everything, because this trailer does host some like really scary shit and everything that's gonna happen between, like, our group, the Reapers, and Maggie and Negan working together. Wait, what? Oh, come on, you can't be serious. So let's begin. So the opening of the trailer and everything basically shows a lot of our people essentially running for their lives through the woods and everything, which we did get a lot of these shots in the Season 11 trailer originally, but now we have more context and everything. I'm assuming since this will take place right after the events of Episode 2 and everything, our group will honestly just book it right away and everything, because the Reapers are essentially just coming after them, and they are, like, the Reapers are a group of very accurate people, telling by the end of Episode 2 and everything how they were able to get people, like, perfectly and everything with, like, arrows and throwing knives. So our group is just gonna have to run for their lives and everything, which I'm assuming with this first shot of one of Maggie's people saying, like, run, and I was assuming they're just gonna make a run for it and book it and everything, just like, our group did in, I think, The Last Stand Earth and everything, the Season 6 finale, just gonna try to, like, book in, like, run for their lives. We do get many of our characters and everything, like Daryl and, like, other people and everything, dodging knives and everything and trying to shoot at, like, the Reapers and everything. It's basically just gonna be a huge all-out war and everything between the Reapers in the woods and everything, and it's just gonna be really epic in my opinion. Although this, like, there are some shots in this trailer that do seem, at least in this, like, opening woods fighting, that do seem really overlit. So I do wonder if the Reapers are gonna be using cars to, like, light up the setting and everything, just like our group did and everything, as a strategy in the Battle of Hilltop against the Saviors during All Out War. Now, what's very interesting in this opening fight sequence and everything is we do get Gabriel getting his throat slit by a kind of a ghost face looking Reaper. Now, here's the thing. That does make it sound like Gabriel's just gonna die and everything. He gets his throat slit and everything, and it's all done and all over. There's fucking Gabriel gone dead. But that is not the case at all. He gets his throat kind of slit off to the side and everything, but it's not near, like, I think the jugular, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, where it would, like, be a deadly cut, but he does get his throat, like, cut and everything on the side and everything by a Reaper. And this will be during, like, the fight and everything, where all of them are distracted by trying to, like, survive and everything. So they obviously, like, the Reapers will be coming out of nowhere and everything, because obviously the Reapers, as I did break down in another video, I think the Reapers are, like, military trained, or, like, they have highly, like, military, like, strategies and everything, which will be, like, very hard for our group to combat and everything, especially in this opening with, like, a war in the dark and everything. But it's very scary that Gabriel does get the side of his throat slit and everything. It makes you wonder, like, how that will happen, because he does hold down his throat and everything as, like, Reaper runs by him and everything. We'd also get Maggie, like, throwing a kind of bloody axe and everything, or sickle, at one of the Reapers, which I think this is the exact same type of, like, sickle and everything that Elijah has, and it's, like, bloody. So I do wonder if that means Elijah will get hit and everything. Although one of Maggie's people and everything at the end of Episode 2 and everything do get hit by a knife. So what if this is, like, what Maggie's people, I think it was the character Cole that got hit with a knife and everything. So what if this was the, like, the weapon that Cole got hit with in the leg and everything, or one of, like, the weapons that the Reapers did throw, and this Reaper's just trying to, like, ambush Maggie's people and everything, and this is what causes them to run, and this will be, like, in the beginning when, like, they're all coming out of the woodworks and everything, surrounding running our group, and then like, you know, Maggie will throw this at one of the Reapers and they'll say run and everything. That's when like, the whole war will start. Also, this could be, since this is the exact same Reaper I think it is, that like, you know, slice Gabriel's throat. What if Gabriel's kind of struggling right now and everything, and then Maggie takes this, like, you know, like maybe like, you know, tries to help Gabriel and everything, because obviously he's like stunned, they got his throat slit and everything, and then Maggie takes the sickle, like, or like, you know, ambushes that Reaper and takes a sickle and throws it at him, which just does kind of make sense in my opinion. And during this trailer we do get a, like, you know, a bunch of varying different lines from Gabriel and everything. This is kind of the aftermath of the Reaper fight and anything that will, like, you know, take place in the beginning of the episode. But someone does say to Gabriel in the woods and everything, and this is daytime now and everything, like I said, after the fight in the woods, and he does basically tell Gabriel, like, you know, don't be afraid, or you're afraid and everything. Gabriel basically goes, you're like, I'm not, and anything. And by the way this person does talk to him, this is clearly not someone from his group, and a lot of people have been throwing around theories that this is a captured Reaper, which does make sense and everything, like Gabriel will capture someone. And I'm assuming he'll be like, you know, maybe interviewing the, like, you know, the Reaper on, like, you know, about their community and everything. Maybe this will be their golden ship to being learning about the Reapers. Although the Reapers do seem like, you know, like I said, military trained, so I doubt they would really give up stuff for, like, you know, information or, like, you know, knowledge really that easily, which obviously Gabriel's not a fan of the easy route of getting information from people, since later in the trailer we do get to see this Reaper running away, or at least what I was do assume running away from Gabriel and everything, because I do think this mask on the ground on, like, you know, the wood floor or on the floor of the woods and everything is, like, you know, the exact same mask of the Reaper that did slice Gabriel's throat, so that maybe that's one that they do manage to capture. And we do see, like, you know, the mask of this Reaper and everything as he's running away, and he does look very wounded and everything, so I'm assuming Gabriel yet again is not going to take the easy route of, like, you know, interrogating him. And there is some blood on the side of this, like, you know, Reaper's mask, so I do wonder if this Reaper will get hurt. Obviously they will and everything, because if he's captured by Gabriel, Gabriel will not treat him that nicely. And we do get to see a, like, you know, shot of a bloody knife and everything during the day, like, you know, when Gabriel has the Reaper captive and when we do see him running away. And this Reaper does ask anything, saying, I thought you were a man of God, which how the fuck does everyone know that Gabriel's a man of God and everything? Does he just say it to people, or is, like, you know, maybe it's his outfit probably? And since this is a bloody knife or anything, I'm assuming two things will happen. Either this is after Gabriel, like, you know, stabs the Reaper and the Reaper runs away and maybe falls, and, like, you know, Gabriel catches up to him, and this is before he, like, kills him or maybe captures him again. Or maybe this is, like, you know, Gabriel after he just, like, you know, stabs the Reaper and he's about to just, like, you know, fucking kill him. I don't know. But after the Reaper does say, like, or the captured Reaper does say, like, I thought you were a man of God, Gabriel goes, no, God is no longer with us, or he's dead or something, which is a really badass line of dialogue. And moving on to another plot point where you see Maggie, like, you know, approaching this, like, gigantic mall or, like, you know, plaza area, and based on sneak peeks I'm assuming this will be a flashback, or kind of like, you know, yeah, yet again a flashback where Maggie will, like, you know, be attacked by the Reapers and everything, because we don't see her with anyone else and everything. In other parts of this trailer we do see her with other people approaching the mall, so I doubt she would just approach the mall by herself, like, you know, check and then go back for people. So I do assume this is a flashback, and based on, like, you know, sneak peek material that we have gone for this episode so far, that this will be a flashback where Maggie's being slowly hunted down by the Reapers. I'm assuming this is Meridian, unless, like, because Negan does mention in the trailer and anything, saying, you know, the plan is no longer going to work or anything to get to Meridian, or, like, you know, the place that Maggie's trying to get supplies. So maybe this is, like, you know, a place they go to instead with some wounded people or anything from, like, you know, the battle with the Reapers, because we do see Maggie and Negan and everything taking a wounded person through, like, you know, the mall and everything. And yet again I do think this is in present time, while the shot of her walking towards the mall and that whole thing from the sneak peek that we have gone so far is all a flashback to show us, like, you know, what this place is and everything, how Maggie found it and how she knows where it is. And we don't like, you know, learn who this, like, you know, wounded person is in between, like, you know, Maggie and Negan are helping through the mall till, like, you know, later in the episode, or not later in the episode, later in the trailer. But this person's clearly wounded from the battle with the Reapers and everything in the beginning of the episode during the night. Also we get a shot of Negan walking up to a walker with his, like, you know, back tied and everything, or his arms tied behind, like, you know, a tree with the sign that says Judas above it and everything, which is very weird. But, like, you know, the Reapers do have names, like, you know, Pope and, like, all those type of names, so I do wonder, like, you know, what Judas means, because it did take us a really long time to learn what, you know, Pope Mark Dude does mean, which is essentially, I'm assuming, like, you know, kind of like a hit or anything, or like an assassination thing, like, you know, go after this person. But I do wonder what Judas does mean or anything. If I do find out, I'll make sure, like, you know, leave some text on the screen. But I do also wonder who this person is that's, like, you know, burnt to a crisp on, like, you know, this tree and everything with their back tied, and why it has such an effect on Negan that it causes him to kind of, like, you know, look sad or look very serious and turn around. And this is clearly during the day and everything, where, like, you know, Gabriel has, like, you know, the like captured Reaper and everything, and then Maggie and Negan are together with some wounded people after the fight. So I do wonder who this person is tied up with their back. Is this, like, you know, one of, like, you know, there are people that, like, you know, the Reapers burnt to a crisp and killed, like, you know, very brutally and anything, if this is just a walker or something to maybe, like, you know, scare them and make them, like, you know that the Reapers do mean business, kind of like, you know, the whole highway of of people hung upside down and everything that the Reapers left for our, like, you know, group and anything at the end of episode 2, which was really cool in my opinion. It showed some really great set design and effects. We also get Maggie and everything lighting a, like, kind of like a lighter and everything. She's revealing a Reaper behind her. And I do wonder if this does take place, like, you know, when her and Negan are in the mall and everything, because it does look like she's looking over some, like, you know, handle rails and everything. So maybe this is in the mall, but I do wonder if this is during the flashback segment and everything when she's being hunted down by the Reapers, which does make sense. Or if this is with, like, you know, when Maggie and Negan do make it into the mall. And if this is not in the mall, then maybe it's like, you know, them trying to hide from the Reapers during the initial night fight. But it also does look like to be the same Reaper that, like, you know, slices Gabriel's throat and everything. So maybe they have a long history with that specific Reaper and everything, or Maggie does, and that's what causes, like, you know, this Reaper to be so significant in this episode. And it is pretty much revealed who Negan and Maggie were helping through the mall and everything that was wounded from the Reaper fight. It does appear to be Alden. And after Negan does say, like, you know, the Maggie, your plan's not going to work out or anything, she just tell Negan saying we do need that food. So it does, like, you know, mean I think that they're still going to the city or whatever, like, you know, place that Maggie wants to go to. I think it's called Meridian. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. And Alden does look to be, like, you know, very wounded and hurt after this fight and everything. So I do wonder if he'll get, like, you know, an axe or a sickle to, like, you know, the leg and everything, or if he'll get a knife thrown to his leg. I'm not sure. Because at the end of episode 2, we did get, like, to see, like, you know, people like, I forgot what his name was, but he's the guy with the eye patch at the end of episode 2 who did get, like, you know, an arrow to the eye, which really gave me, like, you know, Denise vibes. And also I think one of Maggie's people named Cole did get, like, you know, an arrow or a knife or anything to the, like, you know, the leg. Next we get to see Magna on the gates and everything, guarding the gates and everything of Alexandria. And we do get, like, you know, this, I do really like the color grading of this scene or anything. It just of this, like, season so far. But we do get Magna and everything guarding a kind of very destroyed Alexandria thing with obviously no food. Obviously they can't, like, you know, take many more hits to Alexandria. So I'm assuming they're on really high guard since, like I said, they can't take any more hits since they're very low on food and supplies. But if you look behind her, I think Alexandria does look like it's in, like, you know, shambles and everything. It is very destroyed with, like, a bunch of burnt things and destroyed things. I think you can even see that the crops are destroyed, which obviously makes sense since they're out of food. We get to see Carol and Kelly re-entering Alexandria and anything, which I'm assuming is, like, you know, them after, like, you know, a tiny supply run. Since in, like, you know, in season 11, like, you know, trailers and promotional material and everything, we do see only Kelly and, like, you know, Carol on the outside of the gate. So maybe this is like a small run before, like, you know, her, Rosita, Lydia, and a bunch of them do make, like, a huge run out into the actual, like, you know, outside and wild, which does make sense. And I think since in other season 11, like, you know, promotional materials, and then we do get, like, people like Lydia, Rosita, and other people during, like, a rainstorm, which does make sense that they're all gonna go out and everything and try to find those horses. Because we do get a conversation between Aaron and Carol, and I think I'm assuming in the infirmary where they're, like, you know, where the food's stored and where all, like, you know, their supplies are stored. And Aaron basically says that, like, you know, our walls are, like, can barely hold and anything, and we have, like, you know, no supplies, or I'm practically gonna starve. And we do go into the woods and anything with Carol, Magna, Kelly, and I'm assuming some others and everything based on some other season 11 material. And they're basically going out to look for the horses, but we do get to see 2 horses already dead and consumed by walkers and everything, or they could be killed by Reapers, but I do think they're consumed by walkers, which obviously means, and it's going to be very hopeless and everything when they do find these horses, because obviously, like, you know, Carol does state that they need to find these horses or they're going to starve, and seeing these horses dead and everything, and Carol's reaction to these horses being dead does show a very hopeless feeling for them. And as we wrap up the trailer and everything, we do get the segment that we did see in other season 11 trailers and everything, which is basically, like, the whole thing with Negan, like, you know, ripping Maggie away from someone possibly being killed and ripped apart by walkers. We get to see like, you know, Negan punching or, like, you know, hitting a walk and everything with, I'm assuming, his, like, you know, now new weapon, a crowbar. And we get to see Maggie helping up Alden to the ground, or I'm assuming it is Alden or anything, since obviously his leg is practically given out from us, like, you know, some injury during the fight with the Reapers. I do wonder if they're gonna be helping more than one person, because we do get confirmation that Alden does make it to Meridian or, like, you know, the mall or anything, and Negan, like, you know, Maggie do help him there. I'm assuming based on the fact that we do get to see only Maggie and Negan and Alden and maybe one other person, that like our group is gonna get really split up in this episode and everything, and it's gonna, like, after the fight, everyone's just gonna be split up and trying to run and, like, you know, save themselves or maybe run off in groups. But we get to see Maggie, Negan, and Alden kind of getting away and everything. But in one of the next shots, we get to see Maggie and everything, and Negan being like, or Negan tearing Maggie away from, like, you know, her trying to get to somewhere and her saying no, no. But it's kind of weird since we do get, like, you know, Maggie, Negan, and Alden all showing up to the mall and everything. And always also, like, you know, we do get to see shots of Maggie helping Alden away and everything. But then next we get to see this of Maggie without, like, you know, Alden or anything, and Negan tearing her away. So I do wonder if it's pretty much confirmed that Alden is going to be killed, and maybe this is after they're, like, you know, at the mall and everything, and then they, like, try to leave to get to Meridian, or, like, you know, Maggie's place in the mall is just a pit stop, which does make a lot of sense in my opinion and everything, at least, you know, in my opinion. But that was the trailer for The Walking Dead season 11 episode 3, Hunted. This trailer was really, really cool, and it is truly showing us the horrors of the Reapers Reapers and everything, and what our characters will be going through in episode 3, which is essentially possibly being like, heavily split up and everything after the fight and everything, and a ton of people being wounded, such as Gabriel, who gets like, I guess you could say his throat slit and everything by a Reaper in the beginning fight, and also people like Cole and like, Alden will like clearly be heavily wounded. And we also get to see that we're gonna get a team up between Maggie and Negan and everything. That's gonna be a pretty tragic team up and everything between the two, because obviously they are gonna lose like, a lot of people or some people, but we are gonna get to see that they are gonna work together in this episode, which would be really cool in my opinion, because in episode 2, Acheron part 2 and everything, we did get to see that like, Maggie's now starting to trust Negan more and everything. They're starting to finally work together, which is really cool and everything, because I was worried that we're gonna get like, too much of like, Maggie and Negan feud and then going into like, season 11, but I'm glad they kind of closed that feud up a lot more, I think, in episode 2, which like, is gonna really help progress this season. It's really gonna make for some like, very interesting moments, because like, people seeing them working together will be really cool. And also we do get to see like, Alexandria's struggling situation or anything with our group trying to like, find horses for food and just trying to find supplies in general, because obviously Alexandria is really falling apart with like, weak walls, constant walker attacks, and all these like, stuff and everything, which is just gonna like, slow them down and like, hurt them more. But what's very weird about this trailer is we do get to see Daryl dodging like, something at the beginning of the trailer and anything, like, I think an arrow or an axe or a knife or something, but we don't see him anymore in this trailer. And I do feel like, we won't get much of him in this like, episode, since he will be split up and everything. I think we'll have to wait till episode 4, or maybe there'll be a cliffhanger in episode 3, where maybe he's like, captured by Leia and everything, and he like, and that's when he like, meets the Pope and everything, because it is pretty much confirmed, I think, that he will be captured by the Reapers and everything. I did make a theory video on this and everything, which I'll make sure to link down below so you guys go check that out and everything, and all like, the clues leading up to this. So I do feel like, he'll like, him like, finding the Reapers and everything will be like, episode 3 cliffhanger and everything, and then we'll get to see more of him in like, episode 4, since you don't get to see much of him in this trailer besides just the very beginning and everything. So I feel like he'll be one of the people to get like, split up from the group. Hey, and even during this episode, this is where we'll get to see like, whether if Dog dies or lives and everything, because we do know he'll get hurt in some way and anything based on season 11 like, trailers and like promotional material. But like I said, was the trailer and everything, make sure to leave your thoughts down below and everything. What in this trailer did excite you the most, and what like, left you most excited for episode like, 3 of The Walking Dead and everything, season 11, Hunted? Are you most excited to see the battle in the beginning, which I'm pretty sure all of us are? Are you excited to see Maggie and Negan team up and everything, and do you think they're gonna lose people like Alden or maybe more people? Or are you more excited to see like, Alexandria and everything, and Carol, Rosine, and all of them, and Aaron trying to like, work through the struggles? But that was my trailer breakdown. I think I'll make sure to link this trailer down below in the description, so you guys go check out this trailer for yourselves, which I do highly recommend, since it is a really cool trailer to watch in full length and everything. And make sure to comment down below if I did miss anything, and like, through your watch you did see things I didn't, so we can all have a discussion and everything down below in the comments. But yep, like I said, that was all for today. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more of the latest in the Walking Dead universe, and more breakdowns like this, and more reviews and theories and videos and stuff like that. And yep, as you guys, my amigos, and peace out.